complicated, challenging, overwhelming.
It's going to feel like they're drinking through a fire hose.
I'm obviously approaching that Medicare age. When do I actually need to get Medicare?
How many people here have heard that if you don't sign up for Medicare at the age of 65, you're going to get a penalty?
We strive to educate to get everybody to the same place.
One is not right. One is not wrong. They're different. You need to figure out which one's right for you. Welcome to this edition of the Medicare Made Simple Podcast with MediConnect. I'm Lance O'Brien, your CEO, and today I am joined by Cory Craig, one of the OGs.
Been here a while.
Yes. When's 10 years?
10 years will be this September, I believe. This September, 10-year anniversary.
I figured you were getting close. Sports aficionado, Oklahoma Sooners football fan.
Pittsburgh Steelers, New York Yankees, kind of all over the map when it comes to my sports fandom. Doesn't make a lot of sense, but passionate about all of them.
Yeah, how did you get there?
Well, I grew up 2.5 hours north of Pittsburgh, kind of right on the PA-New York line, so the New York Yankees did make sense. Pittsburgh Steelers also made sense. Oklahoma Sooners, I just followed in my dad's footsteps with that.
I was going to say, you picked that one out of a grab bag or something.
I did, and he went to Penn State, and he actually hated Penn State, which probably won't be popular with a lot of our local listeners, but again, passionate, don't care, Boomer Sooner.
There you go. So, but we didn't actually bring you on today to talk about football and Erie, Pennsylvania, and all of that.
That's a shame.
I know we could do a great sports broadcast podcast for sure. But today, what we really want to dive into is the importance of the education process for someone that's new to Medicare. Your role with us here is Director of Operations. So someone might hear Director of Operations and new to Medicare. How do those two kind of jive? But you've actually had a massive role in building out our process and that education. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so again, coming up on my 10-year anniversary, I obviously wasn't always the Director of Operations. And starting at the ground floor at MediConnect, one of the things that I helped build in the early years was our New to Medicare live seminars, which we started back in 2017. So we've been doing them for as long as I have been here at MediConnect as well. And we started off very conservatively, doing one a month, inviting a couple hundred people just to really prove the concept of the education and seeing the folks and how they responded to kind of the whole process. And once we'd proven that concept, we knew we were kind of onto something. And we've only scaled it up. We increased the volume, the amount we're doing across the region in different areas year over year over year.
Yeah, so now we have the webinars beyond the in-person where, literally we're talking to 300-400 people a week.
Oh, yes.
About new to Medicare and everything related to that. When we knew we were filming this segment, I was like, well, I know the perfect guest, because I truly believe that in our entire organization, nobody's attended more new to Medicare seminars than you have.
Yeah, and it's crazy. I've never presented one, but I feel like I could, and I could probably present each of our presenter style of the presentation. And there's been, probably 5 or 6 over the years that have consistently done the presentations. So, just attending all of the presentations, seeing the impact it has had on the attendees at the live seminars, in our new online webinars, our on-demand webinars. It's really cool to see.
Yeah, so why should or who should this episode really be important to?
Yeah, I think the easy answer is anyone who is approaching the age of 65. And when we say approaching, what we feel strongly about at MediConnect is anyone who is within 1 year of turning 65. And it can be even earlier than that. But we do think the sweet spot is somebody who's turning 64, who is within 6 to 9 months of that 65th birthday, because that's how I feel like the community has been conditioned to think, where it's up, I'm a half year away from that 65th birthday. I really need to get on the ball with Medicare. And that is the sweet spot. That's the easy answer. But really, our seminars are educational in nature. We have people come to our seminars who are even already on Medicare, or even as early as 62 to 63. And we respect that and we encourage that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can ever get too much information,
Not at all.
too much education for sure. And, I do think 63, 64 is that sweet spot. If there's someone that's watching today and they're maybe in a little bit higher of an income bracket, coming at 63 would really make sense to them because of a one specific Medicare rule, which we won't necessarily get into. But you're right, there's a lot of different nuances to this process. So I want to really just jump into it. You designed a lot of the locations we go to, been a big part of designing the information we disseminate, attending. Why are you so passionate about this?
Yeah, I think a lot has changed since 2017. The plans available, how they're structured, how even our community likes to receive the information, live seminars versus more of the online webinar style. But some of the buzzwords that you hear when you go to these seminars consistently have not changed. Buzzwords like complicated, challenging, overwhelming. Buzzwords like that are why myself, as well as just the company in general, is so passionate about the education of the whole entire new to Medicare process, because those buzzwords hasn't changed. Our primary goal during these seminars isn't to put you on a plan. It isn't to talk dollars and cents, but it is to unmuddy the waters that just the new to Medicare process organically already muddies for you. And that's before you even get, neighbors into it, other people's opinions, all of the mail that you're reading, the online advertising, TV commercials. The list goes on and on.
Yeah, and I think you hit on a lot of really good things there. I think one of the biggest challenges is a lot of people don't even know where to start because they're so inundated by information, right? And that information isn't just from insurance carriers. It's not just from the Social Security Administration. It's from friends. It's from family.
Oh, it's all over the place. You are just getting bombarded with people's opinions and advice, marketing tactics, you name it.
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest things we see when people do come to us about this education process is the emotional side of things.
Oh, absolutely.
Anxiety. They're probably procrastinated some because they were a little concerned about dealing with it. Just talk to us a little bit about what that's looked like for you, having seen so many people over the years.
Yeah, and we strive to educate, but we strive to educate to get everybody to the same place. As crazy as that sounds, because everybody's different, everybody's needs are different, their preferences are different, but we always strive to get everybody to the same place with our education, and that's a peace of mind place. Yeah. That is super powerful because, again, if someone comes and they're 12 months away from turning 65 or a couple months away from turning 65, the purpose of the new to Medicare presentations that we do is to educate to get them to a peace of mind so they're comfortable for when the time comes to begin their Medicare journey. All of the thinking, all of the challenges and obstacles have already been overcome, and now it's time to make the important decision, which is, what does my healthcare insurance look like in retirement?
Yeah, and you kind of married the two things we wanted to talk about there, because there definitely is that emotional anxiety, frustration, overwhelm, confusion component. Then there's more the mental or logical component of just absorbing so much information. I mean, I've presented a lot of seminars over time, and one of the things I consistently say at every one of them is when somebody comes, we're going to give them a lot of information. It's going to feel like they're drinking through a fire hose.
There's no doubt about it.
Right. And how I think one of our big goals beyond creating the peace of mind is really simplifying the information. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, everyone who is approaching that magical age of 65 is going to receive something in the mail. The Medicare and You book, it's over 100 different pages, and our goal is to take that book and to pare it down into 15 to 20 slides, where it might be 300 written words in total. And even at that point, and I think we do a stellar job of simplifying it, you're right. It is a lot of information to absorb and to really wrap your brain around in 1 hour. But I think the connection of watching somebody local, unbiased, and you're able to get your questions answered through the seminar and hear just that written word that you might read in that Medicare and You book explained and really pared down to that simple level is impactful beyond anything that you can really read or describe.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, we actually encourage people to do some self-education.
Absolutely.
Read, watch some videos, things like that. But there's going to still be some challenge points, I think, when somebody does that, right? Because a lot of times you're dealing with insurance jargon, lingo, things of that nature. If somebody's going to actually take the time to do that, we think it's great. We encourage it. And then what we try to do in that 60 minutes of a seminar or webinar is start the process from our standpoint, because then it goes into an individual appointment and everything. But it really is about them taking all of this truckload of information and bringing it to a place of like, oh, this isn't so bad.
Yep. And this is what applies to me, because not everything you read is going to apply to you. And to what you said earlier on, right? Like, we do encourage that self-study that future clients can do, beneficiaries can do, because as my CEO tells me all the time, you don't know what you don't know. Mm-hmm. So if you're starting from nothing, you might not know what questions to even ask. And I think one of the powers of our live seminars is that you can feed off of the other attendees in the room, and they might ask a question that might spark something else in your brain. And it really is a group discussion from that perspective versus one-on-one self-study. But self-study is a fabulous place to start.
Yeah, and I think the Q&A sessions have actually been huge.
Oh, yes.
Sometimes it's at one point in the seminar, sometimes at the very end. But I do think people are having questions. Sometimes they don't know how to verbalize them. Somebody else verbalizes, it leads to something else. But being able to ask questions that you're thinking about and get answers does really help solidify the information. So I know we've said seminar, we've said webinar. Can you just build that out? Like, are we always doing our seminar in one location? What does that look like? If somebody's listening today and they're like, yeah, I really want to get this information, what would that look like for them?
Yeah, if we did it always in one location, life would be a lot easier for you and I. There's no doubt about that. But
that is true.
It's also definitely less impactful. So our current cadence right now that we've been consistently running for the better part of 2 years is we do one live seminar every single week in the Pittsburgh area. And when we say Pittsburgh area, we mean anything or any location typically around an hour of downtown Pittsburgh. So we'll go as far north as Cranberry, Butler. We've even done Grove City. We'll go down as far south as maybe Bell Vernon and Uniontown, out east as far as Indiana. Out west, we've even done Steubenville, Ohio, maybe McDonald, and obviously everywhere in between. And that's once a week. And we typically come to your area once every quarter or once every 3 months. And then our online webinars, that's a very consistent schedule of every Wednesday at an 11 a.m. slot or a 6 p.m. slot for the folks who are still working.
Yeah, so that gives people the opportunity to not have to drive far as we're rotating where they're going, or be able to do it from the comfort of their own home.
Absolutely. And that's one thing that we've seen over the last 6 years, as people are more comfortable with doing things maybe more remotely over a webinar style, but our live seminars are still extremely popular, because the one thing you don't get over webinar that you do in person is that live connection, being able to read body language, ask some more intimate questions, maybe post-seminar, and kind of everything else that you can't do over a webinar. But we do have both options.
Yeah, so we've talked a lot about why we're so passionate about this, why it's important. I mean, there's 10,000 people a day that are turning 65 in the United States of America. That's going to continue through 2033. We're doing 8 webinars a month. We're doing anywhere from 4 to 8 seminars a month. We're doing a lot of this education, and we've talked about a lot of that type of stuff. Now let's ask the big question. What are people going to actually learn about when they come to a seminar?
Yeah, you're going to learn a lot, but really there's going to be one main overarching question that I have seen asked 3 or 4 different ways every seminar I've been to. Hey, Lance. Hey, presenter. Hey, Cory. I am turning 65 in X amount of time. I am on employer coverage. When do I need to enroll in Medicare? What should I do? And as much as people would like it to be a black and white cookie cutter answer, you know as well as I do, Lance, it is not that simple, right? It all depends on your situation, your employer coverage, what it looks like. Maybe it's your spouse's employer coverage. There's so much nuance to just that one simple question. But that's what you're going to learn at the end of the seminar, which is what everyone has on the top of their mind when they come to the seminars. Hey, I'm obviously approaching that Medicare age. when do I actually need to get Medicare? Because there is a lot of misinformation out there as well, and a lot of fear out in the marketplace as well, just around that one simple question. So you're going to learn that. I mean, you're also going to learn.
Let me just jump in there really quickly because I think that is one of the biggest myths. I actually ask this question at the beginning of every seminar I do. How many people here have heard that if you don't sign up for Medicare at the age of 65, you're going to get a penalty? And it is more often than not 75, 80% of the room because that's what they've heard. So to your point, they're coming to the seminar to actually figure out if they need to do that. And the reality is you don't have to go on to Medicare at the age of 65. You should certainly look at all your options so that you can build a timeline, a budget, all of those types of things. But that's one of the big overarching questions that I think we do address and give people a lot of clarity on that. But they're also going to learn about the red, white, and blue card.
Absolutely. They're going to learn about those enrollment periods. They're going to learn about how original Medicare or the foundation of your coverage works, what you have earned after working all of those years and paid into the system. But the second biggest thing I think a lot of people come to these seminars to learn that we do a good job of explaining are the two primary options, the Medicare Advantage programs and the Medicare Supplement programs. And honestly, we spent a couple minutes just talking about the different types of programs and why they're called that way, just so people understand, hey, when you hear maybe Plan F, that's a Medigap plan or a Medicare Supplement plan versus a Medicare Advantage plan, because a lot of the time people come into these seminars confused on what an Advantage plan is versus a supplement plan.
Yeah, I'll have somebody say to me, yeah, my parents have a supplement and it was actually an Advantage plan.
Or vice versa.
The terms do matter when you get into this.
Big time. Absolutely. So that would definitely be the second area that we do spend a lot of time with. Again, it's from a purely educational perspective that we're doing the presentation for those two things. But it is going to explain how those two programs work, because they do cover you in your healthcare, right? But they do it two totally different ways.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's two completely different systems.
Oh, yes.
One works with Medicare, one replaces Medicare. There's pros and cons to both of them. Yep. I actually love the way that we break it down that way because it's very unbiased. You know, there are a lot of people out there that are doing this job that are pushing people one way or the other, and that's very different from our approach.
Yes, it is. And I mean, you can ad-lib this for me. What do we say all the time, and you do it more than anybody, when you get into that part of the seminar?
One is not right. One is not wrong. They're different. You need to figure out which one's right for you.
And it is as simple as that.
Yes. And that's what I think we do great. So we're going to be there 60 minutes. We're going to spend time talking about should you do this or not. We're going to explain the red, white, and blue card, the foundation, what is A and B, what does it cost, what's it cover. Then we're really going to spend about 20 to 30 minutes on those two private insurance options because that's where it gets really challenging. And the reason it does is because Medicare itself, although there's a lot of rules, it's not super complex, if I would say it that way.
It's not. And even though we don't talk dollars and cents and actual insurance company names and what's this cost versus that, the vast majority of people leave the seminar already kind of feeling and gravitating one option versus another just by how those two programs work, because they are totally different. And it's very natural for people to leave, oh yeah, I'm already thinking, Medicare Advantage, or I'm already feeling imbibing with the Medicare supplement plans.
Yeah, for sure. And one of the things that I always am trying to accomplish when I'm doing the seminar is getting people to a place where they understand their timelines, what decision they should make, when they should make it, and ultimately what it's going to cost them to do all of that. And like you've said a couple of times, we don't talk dollars and cents and get into a lot of that. So what generally happens after the webinar or the seminar?
Yeah, the seminar is going to be that foundation. You're going to start feeling one way or another. You're going to get your timelines a little bit more set in your brain. But the real value after the seminar is that one-on-one appointment that you would have with one of our benefits executives. Because, if we're doing a presentation in a room in front of 20 people, we give everyone the option to ask very general questions and and it's really general timelines. But when we want to get into the specifics, which everybody does,
yes.
That's why they do come to these seminars, is to really figure out how does it impact me.
Right.
It's the one-on-one appointment that really delivers that. And that's anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, depending on your situation.
Yeah.
But you leave that appointment, again, very rarely signing any paperwork, but you leave that appointment knowing the dollars and cents, the exact timelines, and a lot of the times already having a future plan picked out if you're in the right time of year.
Yeah, if you have 20 people in a room or 20 or 30 people or 200 people on a webinar, you don't want to talk about this is what my income is and how that's going to impact your Medicare, because it actually does.
Oh, absolutely. You don't want to talk about your tier 3 prescriptions. You don't want to talk about your doctor's names, the hospitals you go to, which all play a major factor in what your insurance is going to look like.
Yeah, and that's why the education is a process. It's getting that general foundation in the webinar, the seminar, then the one-on-one solidifies the more specific aspects of it, helps solidify that timeline, that budget, all of those things. So again, I know you've met a lot of people, you've talked to a lot of people on the phone, because at one point in time you were handling all the incoming calls for people registering. Is there a story or two of somebody that you've met or talked with over time that just really impacted you?
Yeah, and I don't know if I have a particular story, a very specific story, but a commonality that I see every once in a while that I really enjoy is I will go to a location again for maybe the 5th or 6th time in the last couple years, and I see familiar faces. And those familiar faces are already clients of MediConnect. They went through this exact process years ago, but they bring a friend. And then 3 months later, I see that same face, and that he or she is with a different friend. And they are bringing people to these seminars because of the impact it had on them individually, and they want to share that positive impact with the other people in their lives. And you build a relationship with those people.
Yeah.
And, you see them maybe a couple times a year, and, you meet their friends and you hear their stories. And I just think it's really cool to see, almost the most raw version of the impact that we've had with somebody is them coming back, taking times out of their days in the summer, 75 degrees, sunny, beautiful night, and they're spending it bringing friends to a Medicare presentation. Are you kidding me? Right? So those types of stories are my favorite.
Yeah, and I actually like the way you said that, because I think it does speak to what really sets us apart. I think most people, when they think about insurance, whether it's health insurance or car insurance, they think of it from a transactional standpoint.
Yep.
I'm doing a transaction here.
Yep.
I think our approach is very relational.
It is.
We want to build relationships with people, understand their needs, give them ongoing continued support. That's why we created a completely different department within our organization to support our clients.
Yep.
I think that relational approach really separates us from what most of the people in this industry are doing.
There's no doubt about it. And I think relational is the perfect word. I've used the word connections a couple times over the last 30 minutes, but relation is the perfect word. People really crave that, and how many times after you finish the presentation, you've had people come up and say, man, Lance, really love that. I want to work with you. Yeah. Right. And it's just over a 30, 45, maybe an hour long presentation where you've already built that connection without even having a one-on-one conversation with that person. So it's super powerful. That's something we focus on, where we're not really interested in the transactions. We're interested in the relation. And you really see that when, those common people bring their friends to our seminars.
Yeah. Ready for some rapid fire?
Let's go.
All right. You have to sign up for Medicare at age 65.
No.
Okay. Sure?
Positive.
I know you are, but I just want to make sure that we drive that home.
I have the Family Feud 30 seconds ticking in my brain right now. So no. Yeah.
Can you get penalized if you don't sign up at the right time?
Absolutely.
When do penalties go away?
When you do, unfortunately.
Yeah. That's
Never.
the bad thing.
Lifelong.
They last forever.
Lifelong.
Yeah. How often should you review your coverage once you get signed up for Medicare in your mind?
We recommend every single year. Every single year. And especially if you're on an Advantage plan or prescription drug plan every year, because those change every year.
Yeah, the prescriptions are the things that change the most and can really have an impact on somebody's dollars and cents and their overall peace of mind for sure. When does your Medicare start? What day of the month?
It's always the first of the month.
It's always the first of the month.
Always the first of the month.
Yeah, so if I'm born on May 5th, or if someone's born on August 30th, it always reverts to the first day of the month.
Yep.
Good job. You passed the 5 questions.
I'm going to lean back off camera for a second.
That was impromptu. There was no questions there. I just wanted to test your knowledge.
Nope. I guess I can show up to work tomorrow.
There you go. Any parting thoughts? Again, a lot of the business that we do these days, or a lot of the people that we interact with, are those that are new to Medicare.
Yep.
Any last thoughts that you think would be important for those that are listening and watching today?
Yeah. I mean, if you're watching, if you're listening today, you've already started the educational process, whether you know it or not.
Yeah.
Right. So, always encourage anybody to attend a live seminar and see what we're all about. Or if you're more of the homebody and you want to do it from the comfort of your couch, that's fine too, because that's why we have our webinars. So we have a lot of different mediums to be able to consume our content. Encourage you to do that. There's never a cost. There's never an obligation to use any of our services. But again, we're going to keep putting that educational content out there because that is one of the tenets we stand by.
If there's no cost, there's no obligation. One, why do we do this, and how do we make money?
That's another common question we get at all these seminars. How do we make money? We get paid directly from the insurance carriers, right? So down the road, you come to one of our seminars and you might not sign up for Medicare or even a plan for 3, 4, 5 years. Totally okay. We would get paid by the plan or by the company that you enroll with at that time. Nice thing is we're a brokerage firm. We work with the vast majority of the carriers in the area, and they standardize those payments. So we don't get paid more or less to steer you one way or another. So I think that answered both questions.
It did. And I think that is super important. Like, you want to work with all the carriers, or most of them. You know, we work with every Medicare Advantage company that's available in Western PA,
Yep.
right? So all throughout this region, almost all of them in the state of Pennsylvania. Prescription plans are a little bit more dicey because they've been changing the rules there a lot, but we are able to offer every one of those plans to anybody that we work
Absolutely.
with. And being able to work with someone who's going to be able to provide you every option, I think is really, really
It's extremely important. It's extremely important. And I think one of the things that I think is very impactful that we didn't even speak about is, you know, when someone's new to Medicare, it's typically after you've been employed at a company for a considerable amount of time. And as we all know, if you're have insurance through that company, they might come to you at the end of every year, maybe November, December. Hey, here's our new plans for the year. Pick one. Might be 2 or 3 plans.
Yeah.
Pretty easy process to pick between 2 or 3. And it's being almost guided for you.
Right.
Those options are put in front of you. Now's the time to make the decision. Pick one.
You have an HR department.
I do the same thing every year with my wife's insurance, right? Pretty easy to pick between 3 of them, especially when she tells me this is the one I want. So, very easy decision. But when
your wife tells you what you want?
Just mine. I know that's not a common thing out there. So, but yeah, let's not go down that rabbit hole. Anyway, but when it comes time for Medicare, you've had 30, 40, even 50 years of being conditioned to that's the process. When you're new to Medicare, there's no one holding your hand. There is no HR department. And your plan choices or your coverage options went from 3 to in Allegheny County, upwards of 60, 70.
Yes.
Totally different ballgame.
Yeah.
Totally
and I really like to think that that's the role that we fill.
We do.
We are an HR department, but we're personalized HR to
advocates.
Yes, to their situation, their needs, what matters to them. We make sure they don't make mistakes. We make sure that, you know, because there's so many nuanced rules. Like, if you have an HSA at 65, it matters. If you have less than 20 employees, it matters. Depending on what it costs, it matters.
Working quarters, you have IRMAs. I mean, we can sit here and spend 10 minutes just throwing insurance jargon at one another, and all those apply to a different nuance.
They do. They do. So I appreciate your time so much, not only on this episode today, but in building our process here, you know, because not only did you do it on the seminars, you built out our whole webinar process, attended a lot of seminars. You've listened to me give the presentation probably more times than you want to count or remember. So your insight's been invaluable. Appreciate it very much.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. And you don't even have to thank me. You pay me. So we're good there. But it was nice to join you. And it was nice to, talk about this with hopefully a lot of listeners.
Awesome. Appreciate it very much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep. Great episode today. Love talking about what we do in the new to Medicare space. Loved Cory. And I also love hearing from our listeners. Here's a recent Google review on the subject we discussed today. From the webinar with Lance to the interaction with Caitlin, I will definitely guide anyone in signing up for Medicare your way. So I love it because he started the process in our education phase, which again, we discussed in detail today. Then he met one of our great agents. We have 30 of them that have been with us for years. We train them, we develop them. They know exactly what happens in the education process. So it's a seamless transition from one of the presenters to one of the individual people that's going to work with you. And then they get into the nuances of your specific situation. If you come to a live seminar, you're going to actually fill out a yellow card and you're going to be able to share what's really important to you about the situation. So that really helps us prepare. So what I really love about this review is it, again, really talks about the process. We help you sign up for Medicare. We help you in the selection of the plan. We sign you up for that plan. We really take all of the difficulty out of the Medicare process and make it simple. So love the feedback from Mike so much. Appreciate the 5 stars. If you come to one of our seminars, we know that you're going to have a great experience like that. You'll leave us a Google review and you might get a shout out on one of our next podcasts. Again, thanks for joining today. If you really enjoyed today's episode, take a minute and subscribe to our button. You can catch us here on YouTube. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever you like to listen to your favorite podcast, you'll be able to find us there as well. Again, we do these about once a month, and we try to get a regular cadence for you to get great education. So again, thanks for listening. We'll see you here shortly.